Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Creating Careers Moving On virtual events. Just a few reminders before we make a start. Can everyone please turn the cameras off apart from the guest speakers and also the microphones? Throughout the half-hour session, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. Ask as many questions as you like, and there will be time at the end as well for some Q&A. So enjoy the session, and I'd like to introduce Anita from the Department for Work and Pensions, who's going to talk to you today about putting together your CV and some hints and tips to make it stand out. Okay, over to you, Anita.
Hi everybody, thank you for coming today. My name's Anita. I'm just going to share my screen. 1 second. Okay. Can you see that fully? Is that okay?
Yeah, we can see that, Anita. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So my name's Anita. It's good to see you all today. And it's been all extremely difficult, hasn't it, for the last 12 months, being with COVID and lockdown restrictions. And normally I would be in classroom, face-to-face, seeing you all, but this is how we have to do things now, okay? So I'm going to try to make it interesting as possible, and hopefully you'll get some really good information from it, okay? Firstly, I'm going to talk about CVs, okay? This is something that you all will need, okay? To apply for a job or an apprenticeship, you're going to have a CV at some point. It's good to start early because you can get all information jotted down, what you need to put on it in advance, okay? So at the moment you should be gathering this information, getting it all done, and then you can create your CV at the end. Okay, so I work for DWP and Job Centre Plus, and my colleagues help people in job centres with work and benefits. Okay, so first slide, what is a CV? So I don't know if anybody knows what CV stands for. Have a little think. Some of you might know. Put it in the chat box if you do know what CV stands for. A few seconds for somebody to do. CV is curriculum vitae. Okay, it's a Latin phrase and it loosely translates to course of life. Okay, so it's a story about you, your life. Okay, this is a short document that should summarize all your skills, your personality, your experience and your achievements, and it gives you a chance to sell yourself to the employer. Okay, so whether that be a part-time job, your dream career, or your apprenticeship, okay, your CV is going to do that for you, because you've got to remember the person who's going to be looking at your CV won't know you, so they won't see you. They're just going to get a document either in the post or it'll be via, you know, electronic, it'll be emailed to them. So you've really got to make sure that yours stands out, because your CV will get you an interview, and then the interview is going to get you the job. Okay, so the first bit is your CV. Okay, next slide. Right, there's many different types of CVs. So a CV for a doctor will look very different for a CV for maybe a shop assistant or somebody working in a warehouse. You can imagine they've got lots of different skills, haven't they? So every time you do something, achieve something, have an experience that's relevant to careers and employment, you should be noting that down and recording it so it can be added to your CV. It should always be updated. Make sure that it's changed. So any job that you apply for, it should be changed and updated and tailored to that particular job. So I'm going to help you with that in a minute. I'll show you an actual example of a CV. But first of all, there's a short video that I'd like to show you. I'm going to click on the link and hopefully it'll play okay. And we'll have a go. It's only a few minutes long. Hopefully you can hear it as well. Any problems, if someone can just let me know and we'll just go past it.
Did you know, on average, recruiters spend just 75 seconds reading your CV? This means you have just over a minute to sell yourself during the read. This is 3 CV to add for. So what makes a successful job application? Here's our Guardian Jobs Guide on writing a CV. Tip 1. Length. Ensure your CV is no more than 2 pages long. Choose a clear, legible font and stick to a couple of font sizes throughout. The body of your CV should be no smaller than size 11 font. Tip 2. Layout. Instead of putting curriculum vitae at the top, put your name and make it larger, centralised and bold. Next should come your address, followed by your email address and contact number. Try to use a sensible email address. Remember, age discrimination laws mean you don't need to disclose how old you are on your CV. Tip 3. You will need to write a brief personal statement, and this should appear directly under your contact details. Rather than reeling off your hobbies or interests, use this section to tell the employer why you're a good fit for their organisation. Recruiters tell us this section should be no more than 5 sentences long and should cover who you are, what you can bring to the table, and your career aims. Ensure you tailor your CV to each individual job you apply for. Identify skills in the job spec and include examples of these. Make each version of your CV a clear reflection of you as the perfect candidate for the job. Tip 4. Your employment history. Remember to list your most recent role first and, in terms of layout, list your job title and company of employment in bold. Put your dates of employment in brackets. Think about the role you're applying for and include any key points that may resonate with the prospective employer. Don't just copy your job description without thinking about it. Be specific, be precise, and it's nice to finish on some factual information about how you positively impacted the business. Tip 5. Education. And with around a third of job seekers embellishing qualifications to land a role, is it okay to get creative with your CV? In our opinion, no. It's actually fraud and you could get caught out. However, there is absolutely nothing wrong with focusing on the positives of a course, the course content, for example. Remember to include qualification, subject, grade, institution, and date. Only add in further information if it will help the recruiter understand the context of a course in relation to the role you're applying for. Aside from qualifications, help yourself stand out from the crowd by listing any additional skills or other information that will strengthen your application. This could include training, language skills, relevant awards, or membership of professional bodies. Finally, read through your CV before you press send and ask someone else to double check it in case any spelling or grammatical errors have slipped through the net. So, what next? Well, unless you have the memory of a supercomputer, click here to download our Guardian Jobs CV template.
Okay, so I hope you picked up some useful information from looking at that video. Some good tips there I thought that you could use for your CV. Okay, so I'm going to show you now an example of a student CV or a CV that you could use for like a school leaver or college leaver. Okay, so that's going to be very different. You might want to look for a part-time job, like I said before, so this could be really useful to help you. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so at the top, you can see your personal information. This is the section that should be easy to do. Okay, so it's your name, your address, your telephone number, your mobile number, your email address. Okay, this is all your personal details. You need to make sure that these are up to date. Okay, set it out like it is on the screen. So in the middle, you don't have to write your CV, just put your name at the very top. Okay, your personal profile is the next section. Now this is a mini advert for you and it should summarize your skills and your qualities. And you've got to have evidence to back this up. So it's no good just to say, I'm a team player and I communicate well. Okay, that might be true, but you have to give an example of what you have done to show teamwork and how have you communicated, what did you do to prove that, to verify that, because this information they may ask you at an interview. Okay, so you've got to remember this CV is going to get you the interview, hopefully, if it's really good. Okay, so that's your personal profile. It's got to sell you, sell you to the employer. It should be quite short, a short paragraph, no more than 5 lines, I would say. A little bit about why you want to apply for that job, maybe about your long-term career goal. Doesn't matter if you long-term want to be a qualified hairdresser, but at the moment you're applying for a part-time job in Costa Coffee. That's absolutely fine. You still can do that. It shows that you've got long-term ambition. Okay, have a look at the job description. This is going to give you some really good key information about what they are looking for. That if they'll put a list, and they might say somebody who's a good timekeeper, somebody who's reliable, somebody who shows initiative. Those are the skills that they're looking for. So try and match the skills, get that into your profile. I'm a good timekeeper. I always turned up on time for my lessons. You know, that's you matching to what they want. It's more likely to get you an interview. Okay. The next section is your employment and history. Okay. This should start with your most recent work experience and work backwards. So the things you did last, and then you work backwards. Okay. Now this could be paid work, voluntary work, or charity work, or work experience indeed. Anything at all goes here in the employment history. Okay. You need to put the name of the place where you worked, the employer, and you need to put the dates. Okay. And you also need to list what you did. Was it cash handling? Was it customer service? Did you organise a cupboard? Did you mentor somebody? Did you assist with some cleaning? Everything you did should be there in the brief summary of the employment history. Okay. Try to use action words too. I will have a look at action words a little bit later. But action words are words that will help you to sound better, I suppose. So instead of saying I tidied up, you would say organised. Instead of saying like fix something, you would say you use problem solving. You know, these are like action words that can use, and I'll give you a list of these. Okay. Anything I've missed on there? Let me just check.
Anita?
Yes, yeah.
For any students who haven't done work experience because of COVID, they can leave that section out completely, can't they?
They can. And this is where you will be able to put more information in your key skills, achievements, and your hobbies and interests. Yeah, that's right. So not to worry if you've not done anything at all. We've all had a difficult year, and for students like yourself, you may struggle with that part. And employers will know that, they will understand, and they won't expect you to have that. You can sell yourself another way. But this CV will help you going forward for years to come. Okay, so that's where you can add. As soon as you do get some experience, I would add it onto, and that's where it goes after your profile. Is that okay? Okay, so the next section is your education and training. So start with your most recent qualifications, and again, work backwards. Okay, so if you're currently at college doing GCSEs, that's where you're starting from. If you're doing A levels, you start from there. If you're at college doing something BTEC or anything else, you start from what you're doing now, the last thing you've done, and work backwards. You only include high school, don't go any further back than that. Okay, you can put your grades if you know them. If you don't know them, you can put your predicted grades. That's absolutely fine. Just make sure it's neat and it's easy to see. So maybe in a list or in a table, you could insert here, so that the employer can clearly see. Now, if you didn't get the grades that you hope for, or they're not as good as you would like, then it's fine not to put your actual grades too. You could just list the subjects and whether you passed. It's absolutely fine as well. So again, look up what the job is, what you're applying for, and what would be relevant. Okay, you don't want to be putting on there a load of things that you did really not so good in. Okay, that's going to be negative on your CV. We're trying to look at positive information. Okay, the next section is your key skills and your achievements. So here is all your skills that you can offer the employer. So have a look again at the job application, and what are they looking for? Are they looking for somebody who's got good communication skills? a good team player? You know, what are they looking for? Can you match? That's the best way that's going to get you an interview. And this is where you need to list within an example. Okay, it's important as it really gives the employer of an idea of what you like to do and your character. This is where you can put your hobbies and your interests as well. Okay, I would put it in a separate section, your hobbies and your interests. On there it says to do it together. I'd put your key skills in one section, and then I'd put your hobbies and interests separately. Okay, and it doesn't matter if it's got nothing to do with the job. It just shows that you've got character and you've got personality, and employees want to know what you like to do in your spare time as well. Okay, maybe don't put hanging out with friends, going out with your mates, things like that, because we all like to do those type of things, but try and think of something that's a bit more individual, a bit more interesting. Okay, and then the last section is references. Now, a reference is somebody that an employer can go to ask about you. So someone who will vouch for you, give you a good word, a good reference. That's why it's called a reference. So they will go to them and say, this person's applied for a job. Tell me about him. What did he do while he was with you? Okay, so this is usually somebody who you've worked for before. Now, you won't, if you don't have somebody who you've done work experience for, if it's anybody that you've done any charity work or fundraising, or even a tutor, you know, a school teacher, this is where you would put their name here. Okay, as you do progress in your career, this is where you would put previous employers. Okay, it's going to be somebody that's going to give you a good reference, hopefully. Okay, now it can't be your mum or your neighbour or your best auntie. It's got to be somebody in a professional situation. Okay, now you don't need to put their contact details or the name at this point. All you have to put is references available on request, but you do need to know who are you going to give, what names are you going to give to the employer if they ask. Okay, so what if you don't have any work experience, which was what I was asked before, which is a very good point. So many young people have yet to secure their first job, so you might not have anything to include here, but don't worry, because remember, this is where your key skills and your achievements will come to the rescue. Okay, and many employers have actually said that soft skills are as much as important as qualifications and experience. So soft skills are things like teamwork, communication, what we said before, leadership, responsibility, organisation, all those things employers really value in young people. In fact, they value in everybody. So if you can demonstrate them, you're going to do really well. Okay, they will show you how to do the job. That's where you'll get your experience from. Okay, so think of things maybe, do you go to dance class? Can you play a musical instrument? Have you got, can you speak another language? Are you good at football or other sports? Anything there? These are all giving a rounded information about you to the employer. Okay. If you're struggling about what you're good at and what are your strengths, I would ask a teacher or ask a friend or a parent, somebody at home. Sometimes it's easier to ask other people, what are my strengths? What do you think I'm good at? They can give you a better idea. That's what I would always tell people, because it's hard sometimes to talk about yourself or think, what am I good at? Okay.
Anita?
Yeah.
We've just asked a quick question in the chat.
Yeah.
So where can I put my volunteer work in my CV? Where would this go?
So volunteer work would go under your work history. So definitely, doesn't have to be any paid. Volunteer work can go in there. It's absolutely relevant. So you should be putting that there with the dates and a brief description of what you did. You know, did you speak to anybody, customer service, whatever it is you did, that should go in the work experience bit. Yeah, definitely. Okay. So some skills examples that you can give then. Again, look at the application form or whatever the job is, or the apprenticeship. What are they asking for? Do they want somebody who's got good communication skills? So you need to be putting that on, what you can offer. Okay, it's no good putting here what they're not looking for. Try to match and then think about what you can do. What example could you use? So for teamwork at the top, think about sporting, you've been in teams, sporting teams, team projects. Have you done Duke of Edinburgh? or group or work subjects and projects in class, any drama groups, or even any groups that you go to outside of school as well. All that is team working. Doesn't have to be relevant to the job, it's just working with other people. It may be with a family member, you've helped them on a project. It doesn't have to be only 2 people or more, it's fine for teamwork. What did you do? How did you work together? That's what the employer wants to know. Okay, communication skills. Again, communication is about talking and listening. Lots of different ways we communicate. You communicate with your friends very differently from how you communicate with your teachers and indeed your parents, and so you will do with your employer. Okay, and that's good. So we use text, we use phone, we use email, speaking. All these skills are important. Okay, so think about all the different ways that you can give an example of how you've communicated and adapted. Reliability. Okay, so think about your attendance and your timekeeping. Is that really good? If it is, then you should be selling that to the employer. It shows that you're reliable. You're going to turn up on time. They're going to be able to depend on you. Have you been given a task, like an individual task, or part-time work? Has somebody relied on you at home to do something? Think about that. All that can be used. And responsibility. Do you babysit any younger sisters or brothers? Do you help out at school at all? Have you organised an event or helped to organise dog walking? Or think about elderly relatives, or prepare food for anybody, mentor any young students? All that shows that you have responsibility. And trust comes with responsibility, so that's another good employability skill. And then organisational skills. So think how you've balanced your social life, your work life, and indeed being homeschooling some of last year. How did you organise that? How did you make sure that you kept up with your schoolwork? Tell the employer this. Think about your revision timetable if you've had to do one. Organising your bag and your bedroom and your belongings. Do you turn up for class with all your things ready to start the session? Or is everything left at home? Are you not organised? Is that something you should improve on? All these things are going to come really useful in the workplace. Okay, so next one. Okay, so we talked about action words before. I'm not going to read them all out, just the ones in red. But you can see from there that these words will really help you for putting on your CV. Okay, it sounds better if you're going to use some of these words rather than kept it tidy, fixed it, done it better. Okay, these words will make your CV sound better. So achieved, approachable, communicated, improved, initiative, organised, positive and successful. Okay, and don't worry about remembering all these. I'm sure Miss will be able to, I can send this CV if you would like to keep it and have for reference later to help you with your CV. Okay. Okay, so now this is a checklist, CV health check. So remember, it's a living document, so you've got to keep it updated. Always add things that you've done when you've done them so that you remember and with the dates. Make sure that you're using the right font. Okay, always stick to Arial, I would say, size 12, no higher than 12 points. And make sure it's 2 pages or less. Any more than that, they're not going to read it. It's just too long, too much information. Make sure you've checked it for grammar and spelling. It's much easier to do this if you get someone to do it for you. Have a read over it, okay? And don't rely on spell check because it won't pick up all the errors. You've got to make sure that's spot on, or it's just going to go in the reject pile straight away. Okay, and is it easy to read and understand? Is it neat? Is it tidy? Can the employer look clearly at it? Okay, so this is a typical CV that somebody's done. You can see the personal information at the top. Make sure that's neat and central. Make sure your email address is appropriate as well. Okay, no silly nicknames or Superman or football team names. Just keep it to your name for jobs and applications. Then your personal statement, or your personal profile, sometimes it's called, comes next. And again, it's just a few lines. This one says, I'm a motivated and hardworking individual, and I have recently completed my GCSEs, passing all subjects. I am seeking an apprenticeship in the engineering industry as I enjoy problem solving and using my skills to develop and design new products. I have a methodical approach to working and learning, and an eagerness to learn and develop. My employer is to become a fully qualified mechanical engineer. All the subjects that they've taken and the grades. And then you put your school and name along the top with the dates that you attended school. That's the first page. And then the second page has your key skills and achievements. And again, look at the skills that they're asking for, the qualities. It should be on the application somewhere, or the job, and get them in there, or at least get some of them in there, okay, with a little bit of an example of how you can demonstrate that. So leadership there has been used, captain of the school netball team, using my skills to motivate and make decisions fairly and positively. And then teamwork, and they've used Duke of Edinburgh, because obviously you do lots of projects in that. So if you've done that, that's great, get that on there. Reliability, excellent attendance award, 4 years running. That should be on there if you've been really good with your punctuality, your timekeeping, and then IT skills. So if you're really good at IT and you're proficient in packages, put that on there as well. That's a really good one to point out. And then separately on this CV, they've listed the hobbies and their interests, okay, which is great. So I enjoy listening to music. I am now currently learning to play the guitar. I also love keeping fit and have a gym membership, and love to go on long walks with my dog. That's absolutely fine. That shows the character, a little bit about you, and you can expand more at your interview, hopefully, when you get the interview. And then the references is always at the end, and you can just put excellent references available on request. That's absolutely fine. You can put the names if you wish to, but you may not have room, or you may do. But always ask the person so they know that they may get asked for a reference. Okay, and then just some tips. Don't use colour on your CV. Consider using bullet points. Makes it look easy. Print off your CV, so you've got it as a A4 paper version for yourself for future, and maybe you want to take that to the interview. Avoid spelling mistakes, and do not handwrite. Never handwrite your CV. It has to be typed. Okay, so a quick quiz. You don't have to include your date of birth on your CV. Is that true or false? It's true. You never put your date of birth on your CV. Employers must not discriminate against people due to their age, okay? So it's more about you and whether you're suitable for that job, not your age. Okay, 50% of CVs are ignored if the email address is unprofessional. That's half of all CVs ignored if the email address is really silly, unprofessional. That's false. It's much more than that, 76%. Do you really want to make sure that your email address is okay? And then CVs should be a maximum of 2 pages of A4 in length, which is true. Any longer than 2 pages, they will just not be looked at. It's too much information. Remember, you can always expand more at the interview. And obviously, do you need to supply references? We've said before, no, you don't. You can put them later. Simply state CVs references are available on request. Okay, thank you for listening. I hope you've picked up some really useful stuff and information. I kind of rushed at the end there because I'm conscious of the time, but you can have a copy of this PowerPoint if you want to look at it to help you write your CV. That's absolutely fine. Thank you.
Anita, thank you very much for that really useful session. And students, I really hope that helped you understand how to put together your CV. If you still struggle, if you need help with accessing Microsoft Word or accessing a printer, make sure you speak to your teachers. Even after you've left school, if you find yourself stuck in a position where you need a CV, you've not got Microsoft Word, you've not got a laptop, you've not got a printer, go back to school and ask for support, because I'm sure they'd be more than happy to help you with that. So best of luck putting together your CV, and best of luck for the future. Thank you.